Greetings, I am Rock.
And I am Sweeny.
And we are here discussing our first love, Hearthstone, and the brand new expansion called...
The Boomsday Project.
Sweeny loves the name of this new expansion.
I do.
Now,
it makes me happy.
We are now on to one of the common, I think this is our first common card, actually.
Yes,
a druid
common
card.
druid spell. Yeah.
Druid spell.
Yeah.
And what is our first common druid spell?
I find it's very interesting and goes quite in line with the druid theme. It is
we disagree entirely, but go ahead.
It's interesting. I'm saying it's interesting.
You're wrong, but go ahead.
I'm saying it's interesting.
You're wrong, but go ahead.
Well, let me just get it out, and then we shall discuss. So it is a 1-drop called Biology Project, and the spell is each player gains 2 mana crystals.
Ooh. What a bad card.
Okay. Why is it a bad card, Rock?
It's just a bad card. And that's all I have to say. I'm Rock, and...
no,
not that quickly.
Elaborate. Our viewers want a little bit more discussion.
Very well. Look,
I would like to see this card played against me.
Of course you would. Anyone would like to see this card played against them because it gives you 2 free mana crystals. That's right. And that's why it's a bad card. Look, here's the problem with this card. Number 1, if you're playing a ramp druid, why would you play this card? To get 2 free mana crystals? You don't need 2 free mana crystals if you're playing ramp druid. You've already got so many different ways of getting mana crystals. You don't need this card.
Okay.
2, if you play this card, you're not playing ramp druid correctly because ramp druid depends on you getting more crystals than your opponent. And this doesn't do that.
Hence ramping.
Yes.
Okay.
But this doesn't do that.
No.
This gives you 2 mana crystals and your opponent 2 mana crystals. Where is the advantage in that? There is none, Sweeny.
There is none.
There is no advantage. This is a card which I hate because this is the kind of card where it gives your opponent something when you play it.
Yes, that is a dangerous risk.
It's not only a dangerous risk, it's a stupid play. Why would you ever play a card that gives your opponent something?
Rock, I have 3 questions for you.
Go ahead.
On this card. The number 1 is, why do you think they made this card?
I think they made it to make Ramp Druid even faster.
Okay. Number 2 is this card made for Arena? I don't know much about it, but with it being just a 1-drop and a common, it seems like it might be a good card for Arena. Was that maybe the thoughts process behind it?
My complaint is just as applicable, if not more so, in Arena as it is in Standard or Wild. Why would you give your opponent 3 mana crystals?
To help you with your ramp if you don't have the cards you would normally have in Constructed.
But why would you then give your opponent... And you're not giving your opponent 3 mana crystals, remember. You're giving him 4. Because he'll have 1 on his turn. You'll then give him 2, and he'll gain 1 on his. So you're bumping him from 1 to 4 in a perfect world. Mm-hmm. Why would you do that?
That's a good point. Next question is... this reminds me of Cold Heart Seeker, the Murloc that let both players draw 2 cards.
Right.
Which was so good that they Hall of Fame it.
Right.
So being that there's a bit of similarity in it, could there not have a bit of value with this in that vein?
There's a difference there. Cold Heart Seeker, the Murloc, if we're getting the name wrong, I'm sure we'll be corrected. But the difference there is that the reason they Hall of Famed it was that provided an advantage in a way if you played it that wasn't always an advantage for your opponent. Mm-hmm. And that was Mildex.
Yep.
Right? So if your opponent had 10 cards, that's not an advantage for you to draw 2 cards. Mm-hmm. And you can see that even today when Druid plays Natural Selection, forces you to draw 2 cards by blowing up a card if you have a full hand. So making your opponent draw cards is not always an advantage for both. And even then, it's an equal advantage. And even then, sometimes it's an even better advantage for you because the ones who did play that Murloc were card-starved players. They were players that were always hungry for cards. You never really saw priest players or druid players or players that had a lot of card draw. You saw rogue players play it.
Yeah.
You saw hunter players play it.
Hunter, yeah.
You saw players
Warrior.
that needed card draw. Mm-hmm. Right? So if you have 7 cards and I have 3, then playing that Murloc, it may have given you two cards, but there's a big difference between 7 and 9 and 3 and 5.
Yeah.
Right? I only have 3 answers. having 3 to 5 answers is so big, much of a bigger difference than 7 to 9. But this is just giving more power to your opponent. And the thing about Ramp Druid, and it's only a Druid card, whereas Cold Light Seeker
was neutral,
or Cold Light Oracle was a neutral card. This is only Druid.
Yeah.
Right? Druid has so many different ways to get mana that it doesn't need this.
Would you have preferred if this card was neutral?
No.
Would it make it a better card? Just out of curiosity?
No, because again, getting mana crystals is a Druid thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So it really had to be Druid.
Mm-hmm.
But again, Ramp Druid in my mind is you want to get as many mana crystals as possible, as quickly as possible, to get to 10 before your opponent gets to 5 or 6 or 7 even. Right? This doesn't help you do that. Helping him get to 10
doesn't help
faster
you in any way.
Doesn't help you because inevitably, unless you kill him before he gets to 10, Ramp Druid getting to 10 fast eventually doesn't matter because you'll both be at 10.
Yeah.
It's the speed with which you get to that 10 that matters.
So,
and helping him get there faster, which is what this card does, is not to an advantage in Ramp Druid.
So essentially, if this was a traditional card game, this would be a wasted cardboard.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And it's a waste of space in a Druid deck.
I do think it's a beautiful picture. I like the giant strawberry. That's my final thoughts.
My final thoughts is I wouldn't play this in my deck on a dare. So I'm Rock.
I'm Sweeny, folding for now.
Deal with you later.